How would you like to cultivate the gorgeous Chinese classical garden? Well, today you can in the Tang Garden. Let's get into it. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dice Odyssey. I'm Kaz, and today we're going to be looking at the Tang Garden by Thundergryph and Lucky Duck Games, as a matter of fact. You're taking the role of one of the different kinds of gardeners. It says engineers, but you're basically a gardener. Now, I personally like Zen gardens in general. I like koi ponds. I love those kind of beautiful gardens that you can walk into and just go, and that's kind of what this game is trying to give you. It's got some tile placement, it's got some set collection in it. This is a game that is trying to give you that Zen-like feeling. Now, what I'm going to do is just give you a general brief overview of how the game kind of plays. Not going to hit necessarily every rule, but then we're going to go ahead and get back to my final thoughts, which is going to cover positives, negatives, and then kind of a final rating. On your player board, there are 3 different elements that you can gain over time to help you influence more characters and gain victory points. You also have 4 different special abilities in the game that can help you win. On your turn, you have a choice of placing a garden tile or gaining a decoration. Many of the different garden tiles will represent different elements of your player board. When you place a tile down, you'll want to orient it in such a way that it matches another garden tile you're placing it next to. And every time you match a particular element to another element, you'll gain that resource on your player board. Whenever you enclose an area, you'll gain the element that you enclosed. Anytime you connect a footpath, you'll gain a coin. Now, there are tiles with special sides such as walls and just different kinds of enclosing abilities, which will also gain you special rewards. Once you've gained enough element resources on your player board, you're able to gain more characters to influence. Now, many of the characters will have special abilities as well as in-game scoring bonuses. Many of these will be based on the iconography on the scenery tiles that the characters will be looking at by the end of the game. To gain the scenery tiles, you'll place a garden tile over one of these particular discs. There are discs for the small scenery tiles or the large scenery tiles, and then you can choose where to place them on the board. On your turn, instead of placing a garden tile, you may gain decorations. You'll gain 2 decoration cards, plus 1 for each face-down garden tile on the main board. You'll have different types of decorations that you can place on the board, such as pavilions, fish, birds, trees of different types, flowers, and bridges. They'll not only show you where you're supposed to place them, but also sometimes you'll gain an element bonus for your player board. The different kinds of decorations can also help gain you extra bonus points for the end game. For example, like the trees. The more that you gain, the more points you gain. Now, as you play the game, you're going to be placing different kinds of characters out on the board, and at times orienting them towards particular landscapes that you want them to see. Each character will have different kinds of iconography that they'll gain points from off the scenery tiles for the in-game scoring. The end of the game is triggered when 3 or fewer of the landscape tokens are left on the board, or when one of the garden tile stacks has been depleted. You'll then count up your points. Whoever has the most points at the end wins. Now let's get back to my final thoughts. So did I like it? Yeah, I did like it. Now, that's not to say there weren't a few negatives that, that were in the game for me anyway, and even in my group. Okay, let's go ahead and hit my positives. Number 1, production value. Amazing. I absolutely love the production value, okay? I love the pavilions. I love the artwork. Everything in the game feels quality. The cards have that beautiful linen finish. I mean, if you watch my unboxing I did on this, which will show you all the components, I was raving about the card quality. Raving about it. And the thickness of the tiles. Number 2, I like tile laying games in general, as long as they're done right, and I really love the tile laying in this. Now, it kind of reminded me a tiny bit of the 100 Tory, which was a game by Pencil First Games, had a similar theme and kind of a similar style to it, and I really enjoyed that game. This is a little bit of a step up, I'd say, in complexity with some of the things that you have to do in it, and I don't know. I enjoy tile laying, so automatically I'm going to enjoy this game. I like Carcassonne and games like that where you have to match up sides and things like that to try to make things work. It's almost like a puzzle, you know, and I really enjoyed it here. So that was another plus for me. I like the idea of having to get characters and then you have to activate one. And if you activate one, that's going to be one that you're able to get the special powers of. So it was kind of an interesting tug of war with yourself, because if you activate one, you're putting another one on the map, and you really are sitting there fighting with yourself going, oh, I don't want to lose this power yet, but this power is so powerful and it would be better at this time in the game, so maybe I should put this character out there because, you know, they get better in-game points for what I see on the map right now and the different locales and things like that, and scenery tiles. So it's a tug of war with yourself trying to figure out what is the optimal strategy. Also like the set collecting. The set collecting is a lot of fun, especially if you're able to get a ton of trees and thus you get a ton of points because of how much it maximizes points on that. You get, you know, points from like putting your fish in the pond, having to deal with birds, having to deal with putting pavilions out. I really enjoyed putting the pavilions out. I mean, when you see those little jokers on the board, it just makes you happy. It just makes you just so excited to sit down and just touch the pieces on the board. It really does. If I was going to say anything about this game that was a massive positive, it's that you want to sit down, you want to put your pieces on the board, and then you want to start taking pictures of it and put it online and stuff. So, I mean, it is absolutely gorgeous. I was doing that, as a matter of fact. I was taking pictures and putting them online because I wanted everybody to see how beautiful this game looked. Also like the decision of, do I pull a tile or do I get decorations? That was so difficult at times because you're sitting there and you're waiting to see what everybody else is going to do, because the more of the, I think it's what is it called, uncovered tiles, the more of those that are uncovered, you get more, I think it's the decoration of cards, you know what I mean? You're able to draw more of them with however many are out there. But you're also waiting to see what other people are going to do, because if you wait, you might be able to draw more. It's just such a cool push and pull on that as well. It's another tense choice. Interestingly enough, the fact that this is kind of a Zen style game, it's got a lot of tension in it too, in terms of what you're waiting on and hoping that you're going to be able to get the correct pull, or should I take a tile now and wait and hopefully see that somebody else will take one more tile that I'll be able to get more decorations later. Those are some tough choices every round, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun to be able to make those kinds of choices. Now, did I have any negatives? Yeah, there were some in the game, and again, this is going to depend on you, but to me, they were big enough to mention, but not massive that it broke the game for me, right? Number one, that rule book, I'm not a huge fan of it. It's not that you didn't have most of everything you needed in it. I mean, you had a lot of what you needed. My main complaint is it felt convoluted in some spots, and it felt like it didn't explain thoroughly in others. You know what I mean? Like, I'm somebody, I'm just gonna say it, I'm stupid, okay? I need you to treat me like I'm stupid. Not all the time. I'm just talking about in rule books. Treat me like I don't know what the flip I'm doing, because I don't know what the flip I'm doing, all right? Another thing is the iconography on especially the scenery tiles was way too small. Way too small. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you had it on the cards. You could see which character, had combos with which. But when it came to seeing, the orientation of which way the characters needed to be facing on certain scenery tiles, you had to have amazing eyesight, or just get right up on that tile. You had to get right up on the tile to see what it showed, because those little the little icons were just like, man, you had to have binoculars at times. And so we were all saying it at the table. We all just wish that iconography, that the icons themselves were bigger. And I understand maybe that takes away from the beauty of the artwork, because man, those tiles are gorgeous. But I also need them to be usable. I also need it to be a utility that works. Now, another thing, the box says 45 minutes. No, that ain't happening. Well, not easily anyway. Once you get multiple games in, I get it. Your first few games, the time takes longer. But once you get past that, it should start cutting down, especially if you have the same group over and over, or, people catch on quickly. This didn't really do that. Now, I will say with 2 players, okay, it's not that big a deal. But once you get past 2 players, this thing, I mean, we were getting up past an hour at points, hour and a half even, especially when you get up to 4. Good Lord. Now, if somebody has cut that time down after multiple plays, great. It didn't cut down that much even after our first several plays of this. So I will say that was a little bit of a thing because it's on the box. 45 minutes. No. It should have said at least like maybe at 2 players, 45 minutes. When you get up to 4, you're talking over an hour easily. Okay. Now, because the other thing is, and I'll go into why, with the iconography issues and also with so much symbology on the board, and you're trying to figure out how to maneuver your tiles and what decisions to make. There's a lot of decisions to make in this game. It's not overtly complex, but it's complex enough where you might run into a little bit of AP. And even the people at the table that are extraordinarily good at games like this were taking a little while sometimes, and they had played a few times, by this time. So personally, what did I give this game on a rating scale? Man, I give this a solid 7.5 out of 10. The production quality is amazing. I love tile laying. I loved the artwork, and just the amazing amount of options and choices that you had to make, especially, and I didn't even mention this before, especially the special powers that you can reload by gathering those those circular tiles. I'm forgetting the name of them right now, but gathering enough of them to try to reload your powers. It makes you look at those powers, and you have to be very careful about when you use them, how you use them, what timing you use them, because if you don't use those powers effectively, you're handing someone else the game probably. So I enjoyed this overall, and several people at my table enjoyed this overall. Absolutely gorgeous, drop dead gorgeous game. You should definitely check it out, especially if you like this type of theme and tile laying and interesting decisions. Anyway, thank you so much for watching Dice Odyssey. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I always forget Instagram for some reason. But anyway, thank you again. By the way, have you played this? Have you? Is this type of theme that you get into? What did you think of it? Anyway, you have a blessed day and game away.